But I think the real interest here is that these agencies that have gone overboard promoting this for so many years do not want to lose credibility, do not want to lose face. Bureaucracies do not like to admit mistakes. And if you're in the middle echelons of a bureaucracy, you don't challenge public policy without threatening your career. The same thing applies to the bureaucracies of these professional organizations. Everybody doesn't want to lose their credibility. In addition to that, we've got liabilities. The toothpaste manufacturers have huge liabilities. The ADA that's promoted this, not only fluoridated water, but fluoridated products in dentistry, they have huge liabilities. So these are some of the reasons why I think this thing continues. But our weapon, George, is information. Programs like yours are fantastic for this. We need people going to the website, informing themselves, reading up on both sides. Just don't hear one side. Go to the ADA's website and see their arguments. But I believe that any independent person who's got an open mind, who looks at both sides, will find this practice as preposterous as Bill and I do, and will realize that it needs to come to an end. And I want to give you some milestones, give you some hope. Well, first of all, Juneau, Alaska. I know you have a lot of listeners in Alaska.
Oh, of course, huge.
And in October of 2007, Juneau, Alaska, even though citizens were outspent $150,000 to $7,000, voted 2-1 to stop fluoridating Juneau. And that came about because they had a panel of local doctors and so on, looked at this issue for 2 years, came back, and the council, based upon that report, said, okay, we'll err on the side of caution and stop this. Immediately the dentists came in, the Dental Association came in and put lots of money to get a referendum. But that's what I said. They outspent the citizens $150,000 to $7,000, but the citizens still won that 2-1. Now, Fairbanks, Alaska is also considering removing fluoridation. And communities all across the country are reconsidering this. If you go to our webpage, fluoridealert.org, on the right-hand side, you'll see a list of communities that have either rejected new proposals or have stopped fluoridating. A big victory some months ago in April of 2008 was Quebec City. Only about 3% now of Quebec is drinking fluoridated water. But the milestones, here are the milestones for the scientific arguments against fluoridation. Number one, 2006, the National Research Council report, 507 pages. This is now the textbook of toxicology on fluoride. 2007, we launched the professional statement calling for an end to fluoridation worldwide. By August of 2007, we had 600 people. We now have over 2,000 professionals, including 3 members of the National Research Council panel, a Nobel Prize winner, the EPA unions that Bill was talking about earlier on, and hundreds of doctors, hundreds of dentists. And we believe, apropos what Bill was saying, it's very daunting for a dentist to step out and take on his peers by coming out against fluoridation. But we believe as those numbers rise and rise on that professional statement, it will become easier. 2008, we started videotaping many of these professionals, and the first one is your guest, Dr. Bill Osmondson. We got a videotape of him, 5 minutes on Google. I think you have it on your webpage.
Mm-hmm.
Over 92,000 people have watched this. This is fantastic. Just that 5-minute videotape is really going a long distance. And this year, we're going to be launching another videotape, a 28-minute videotape, 15 professionals from Ireland, from England, and from the United States, doctors and dentists and scientists, going through all the issues in the fluoridation debate and giving their professional judgment on why fluoridation is a bad idea. That videotape should be ready in about a couple of weeks, George. I'll send you a copy. I hope that you can mention it because, we don't want to trick people. We're not in the business of public relations, spin, and all that nonsense. It's the science which says fluoridation doesn't work. It's the science that says that it's dangerous. And the ethics, as you've rightly pointed out, says that this should never have happened. We should never ever have allowed government to force medicine on people without their informed consent.
All right, let's, before we take calls next hour with both of you, let's talk about what some people can do on their own. Let's talk about bottled water. Let's talk about filtration systems and see what we can do. Who wants to jump in on that?
Well, I'll jump in on that for just a second here. Right. The best kind of water I think that we can get is something that we don't have to haul a long ways, and that is a natural spring. Sometimes deep wells are okay. We want to have it good and clean without pesticides and chemicals. We don't want to have parasites, of course. We don't want to have bacteria growing in it. We want to have a clean, good water. The problem with fluoride is that molecule is so small that the normal household filters, like the Brita filter, those types of things, don't take the fluoride out. So if you're using a Brita filter, you may get the chlorine out, which is nice. You may get some of the other smells. The charcoal filters will help a little bit, but you're not going to get the fluoride out. You put that in your tea kettle. You heat up the water. Make some tea, hot chocolate, whatever you're going to do, and then there's a little bit of hot water left in there. And so you add a little bit more and heat it up again, and the tea kettle boils more. That boiling tends to concentrate the fluoride, so it even gets more concentrated. So the best thing to do, in my opinion, is one of two things, is either purchase bottled water that does not have the fluoride in it, or the second thing is to get a reverse osmosis filter that you can get for your house, and that will at least give you drinking and cooking water that does not have the fluoride in it.
Where would you install that? Because I've looked at some units myself, Bill, and they look like they have little tanks with a restriction on how many gallons a day it can filter. I don't think you can put that on your main water inlet system, right? No,
you can't. You have to get something bigger if you're going to do the main water. That one, I usually put that one under the kitchen sink, and it has a little faucet on it, and the little tank slowly takes the clean water out of the water system. So it has to be hooked up to the drain. And so it takes the good water out of the regular water and puts it in the little tank, and then that tank is under pressure, and it'll give you your glass or your gallon of water, and then it takes a while before that thing will fill on up again. So it's very slow just for drinking and cooking with. It works well. But if you're going to use something for bathing, then you're looking at some rather expensive equipment. The least expensive I've seen, and I don't know if it works well, is around $3,000. Paul, do you know of any other whole house filtration system?
No, the whole house filtration systems are extremely expensive. There's another one on a small scale which I've seen people use, and that's ion exchange, and that is it's much quicker than reverse osmosis. But all these systems, you have to remember to replace the filters in the designated time. But this makes me so angry. If you think of this for a moment, the differential impediments that we're imposing. Okay, if we remove fluoride from the water, those who want it then have the ordeal of going to the pharmacy or the supermarket and buying fluoridated toothpaste and brushing it on their teeth. Most people are doing this anyway. That's no impediment. And if it is difficult for people to get fluoridated toothpaste, we can subsidize that. That's where the money should go, not on poisoning people. That's one set of impediments. For the people that don't want fluoride, listen to what you have to do. I mean, it's extraordinary. You can protect your drinking water and your cooking water, but you're not protecting your gardening water, and you're not protecting yourself from baths and so on. Why should we put so many people, thousands, if not millions of people, to that kind of expense and chores because of this stupid idea that we're going to force this stuff? It's preposterous.
Absolutely.
And I don't know. There's so many layers of preposterous to this. Let me give you one more.
Well, how about a class action lawsuit against all the companies that are dumping this in our drinking water in all the major cities in this country?
Well, that could be done, but it's a little bit difficult to sue yourself. In other words, the people I talk to say, "You mean I'm going to be suing the local water district, my city, the taxpayers? I'm going to be suing my friends, my neighbors?"
Well, I mean,
I
I know, Bill, in St. Louis, the water comes from a private company. It's called the St. Louis Water Company.